welcome to the One Lonely Owl podcast. My name is Terry and I will be your host. If you are new here, thank you so much for joining us. And if you are a returning viewer, thank you so much for being so patient and coming back. If you are new here, this is a podcast primarily about knitting and crochet, although I do talk about some other crafting adventures as I do a little bit of reading and television and things like that, just things that interest me. This is a lovely community to be a part of, albeit very small. We are a growing group and I'm very, very happy to be part of that. I also may just give a heads up that I am a 3-time cancer survivor, and sometimes that conversation comes up as well. If you have any questions or any concerns or anything, you can always comment below. You'll notice in the description box there will be a description of today's episode in the description box with links of some of the things that I talk about. And with that, we're just going to dive right in. I generally do these episodes, I used to do these episodes every 2 weeks, and then a lot of healthcare concerns popped up and there were longer breaks in between. My kids were home from school and it was our first year where they were home full time, so they required a little bit more of our attention, so that took up some time in between. Here, I will just state at the very top that I will make no promises as to what I'm going to be providing as far as content goes. I will pop online when I find things that are cool to talk about, or if there's something that's happening in my world that I figure somebody might be interested in. If I finish knitting projects or if I take on new projects, I will likely just pop on and say hi and have you join me there. But like I said, I won't make any promises anymore about how often I will podcast because, quite honestly, life is made up of the best laid plans or something like that. I say that I'll be back in 2 weeks with every intention and then something else will happen. So for now, we're going to be on a schedule, sort of a la carte. I don't know if that's how you say it. It's a schedule whenever. It's not really a schedule. The schedule that wasn't. So today we're going to talk mostly about knitting, a little bit of reading, and some finished objects, some things maybe in the future, and hope you'll join me. First things first, we're going to talk about the elephant in the room, I suppose, and that is this sweater that I'm wearing today. This will be talked about in more detail in the Yes Buy segment. This is called the Bon Aries tee, and now that I've said that, I realized I forgot totally to note who makes it. So, who was the designer. I thought it might come to me, but it won't. Anyway, I'll note the designer down below in the description box. The yarn that I used for this, I believe in the pattern it calls for cotton. I don't really trust cotton not to totally stretch out, so I used wool, thinking that it was quite holey and holey enough that I wouldn't get too warm. Side note, I do get very warm, but that has nothing to do with the sweater, I don't think. Those of you out there in my age range and dealing with the things that I'm dealing with right now, menopause, perimenopause, postmenopause is no joke. So I do get quite warm wearing this on some occasions, but I also get warm when I'm wearing a tank top as well, so I don't necessarily blame the wool for that. If you do choose to make this, I believe the pattern calls for a cotton. But again, I chose to do it in wool because of the bounciness of wool and its ability to sort of bounce back into shape. The wool I am using is Polka Dot Creek in DK, and the colorway is called Sand. I'm not sure if I do have some behind me. I will just grab that quickly. So this is Polka Dot Creek Classic DK in Sand. There we go. This was a lovely yarn to work with. Again, if you're new here, maybe I should sit down while I'm talking. If you're new here, you may not know how much I love the yarn from Polka Dot Creek. I talk about Shirley and the Polka Dot Creek shops pretty much every episode, so if you are new here, maybe go check them out and see what you can find. Unfortunately, if you are in the United States, Polka Dot Creek is unable to ship to the United States at this point, but I know that she's looking into some solutions, and once we can sort out these tariff things, then maybe if you're from the United States, you might be able to snag some from Shirley. Anyway, yeah, the Baad Anna tee by the designer I can't remember, which I will link in the description box, and used Polka Dot Creek DK, Classic DK in the colorway Sand. I used about 2.5, 2 3/4 skeins to make this. I didn't measure it, quite honestly. I know I used 2 full skeins and a bit of another, but I'm going to guess probably about half of the other. I will apologize if you can see the shininess of my forehead. I'm having a moment right now where I am absolutely melting. So, you'll have to forgive me when I'm constantly wiping my brow and my face. Yeah, so I absolutely loved making this sweater. I didn't think I would, quite honestly, because I'm not a huge fan of drop stitches. They kind of scare me a little bit. I don't find them scary per se. It always feels weird to me intentionally dropping stitches off of a needle. I've been knitting for years and years, so even if I did drop a stitch and I needed to pick it up, it wouldn't be a problem, but there's just this weird pit of my stomach kind of fear that comes with intentionally dropping stitches. I love how it turned out. It was so simple. So simple. You knit it in 2 panels. I said I was going to talk about this later on. Here we are, almost all the way through, so I might as well talk about it now. Sorry. Knit it in 2 panels, and then you sew the top, the shoulder seam, and the side seams together. You just can't get any easier than that, so I really enjoyed it. I do have another one planned. I've got the yarn for it already. I have not cast that on yet. The next segment, I don't believe actually I told you what that segment was called, and also I'm not even sure if I shared all of my normal details in the intro. I am originally from Newfoundland. I was born and raised there and then left to go to university, and pretty much have only been back for holidays since then. But because the Newfoundland culture is so important to me, I choose to name my segments of this podcast with some, we call it Newfoundese, so some Newfoundland slang, and I'll explain what each of those mean. The first being what I just talked about, which is what I'm wearing. The word that I use is "la." You would have seen that come up across the screen early on in this segment. "La" is short for look, and I've interpreted that as look at what she's wearing, so that's where this comes from. The second segment is called Whatta Ya At. Whatta Ya At in Newfoundland is a catch-all term, catch-all phrase, which indicates what are you doing. It could be anything from what are you doing, where are you going, what are your plans tonight, that sort of thing. So Whatta Ya At is essentially what are you doing, which to me means what am I working on. I don't have any, I do have samples. I don't actually think I have one that I'm currently working on, but you've seen them 1,000 times, and I'll show you some completed ones in a moment. I'm working on Grandma's favorite dishcloth. I haven't been podcasting a lot. I haven't really been feeling a lot of knitting mojo. My kids have been home all summer. I've had some arthritic symptoms from some of the drugs that I've been taking and some treatments that sort of took me out of commission when it came to knitting over the summer. So I just wanted to get back into the swing of things. I know I can knit Grandma's favorite dishcloth in my sleep. I found it easy to hold needles and whatnot, so I just sort of picked those up and started knitting them. I made, I don't know, somewhere in the range of maybe 20 this summer. I've given some away as gifts. I've restocked my own cupboards with some dishcloths. And I just, like I said, I just really enjoy making them. So I'm just going to continue to make those as I can. Sort of interspersing them in with more difficult patterns. So things like this, the Baad Anna tee, although very, very simple, it did require holding more yarn on needles at one time, so it was getting a little bit heavier and my hands were having a hard time holding it. So anytime I needed to sort of take a break, I always had a dishcloth in hand. The other thing that I have been working on, I will show right now. Oh, I won't. I'm going to show you the dishcloths because I picked up the wrong bag. So these aren't ones that I am currently working on. Obviously, these are ones that are finished. I haven't woven in the ends. I love this color. I bought a large ball of it, and I've made a zillion of these. I'm just going to continue to go with those. I think I've made a couple of these guys. This colorway, whatever this one is. Not exactly sure. I've had this yarn in my stash for, no joke, decades. So that's the Grandma's Favorite Dishcloth. Here it is. Here is the shawl that I wanted to show you. Oh, sorry. Grandma's Favorite Dishcloth, all of the ones that I was currently working on are being held in my elf, I think she calls them a doctor bag. So Shannon, who is out of Calgary and I guess somewhat local to me, she is a wonderful, wonderful bag maker and sewist, I guess is what you'd call her. She makes some really cool stuff. I love these doctor bags because they will open up like a box, and she usually puts a vinyl or a cork, something on the bottom, so they can just sit on the floor and you can work away from them. I absolutely love them. You can get them in many, I think she has maybe four sizes. Don't correct me if I'm wrong, but again, I will link her. I'm not sure if she still has an Etsy shop. I'll link her Instagram below so you can look up Shannon of Sew Shannon. She's also a generally just wonderful human. Hi Shannon, if you happen to be watching. This bag that I've talked about this bag before. This one used to be sort of a popular bag a couple of years ago. It was made by a company that no longer makes them. And because my brain is absolute Swiss cheese, you know, you guys are sitting there yelling at the screen trying to tell me what the name of this bag is, and I cannot for the life of me remember what the name of the bag is or where I got the pattern from. So again, I'll link that below. These things drive me absolutely crazy. Anyway, cannot think of it. So when I of course was a little late to the party when they stopped making these. By the time I found them, they weren't making them any longer, but they were selling the pattern. So I purchased the pattern and made myself my own bag. I made a bigger one as well. I sort of just made this bag, but I made it a little bit longer so that it was a little bit bigger for like a sweater project or something. This is made of canvas. It has a cotton handle. I've got a couple of little decorations. These are my favorite teacups. Don't know if you can see that. Don't focus on my face. Oh, of course. These are old, like vintage Pyrex teacups. Absolutely love those. This keychain was from a Newfoundland artist, Kate. Goodness gracious. I'll link it below. Her name is Kate. I can picture her. I can picture her website. Anyway, I'll link her below in case you happen to be from Newfoundland, or if you love these little mugs too. She's got all kinds of neat little trinkets on her website. I've also got my Long Way Homestead button from Anna. Anna is a lovely, lovely human as well. Anna, fun story. Anna and I were roommates in fourth year university, and in my fourth year of university, so that would have been 2000. Yeah, 2000, 2001. So Anna and I go way, way back, and I say to her now that I think it's just hilarious. If we had known what we knew back then in 2000, 2001, we didn't have cable. None of us were really home enough to have cable. So we used to watch the movie Cocktail because we had a VHS player, and the only movie we had was Cocktail. So we would watch Cocktail over and over and over. And yeah, so Anna, also if you're watching, say hi Anna. But Long Way Homestead is a wonderful fiber farm in Canada and Manitoba. So if you're interested in that, she's written books. She's unbelievably well versed in all things sheep and wool and knitting. She actually started the Baad Anna's knitting shop in Vancouver in East Hastings, and I think that was like 15 years ago maybe. Anyway, check her out, Long Way Homestead. I'll link her below as well. And then, of course, my David button. Again, not sure if you can see that really well, but my David button, I'm a big fan of Schitt's Creek, and I got that from, oh, gracious me. Gingersnap. Gingersnap did a Schitt's Creek yarn collection, and they had a Schitt's Creek bag and Schitt's Creek button and stickers and yarn that went along with it, so of course I had to have that. And then I just have a ball of yarn with 2 knitting needles stuck in it. So that's on this bag that I still can't remember the name of or who did the pattern. And of course I'm going to pull out this, and I'm not going to have the yarn. Yes, I will. No, I won't. Goodness gracious. I don't know why you guys come back. I'm absolutely a hot mess. So this is the shawl that I am working on with, so this is a sort of a collaboration, I suppose, between myself and the yarn merchant. So I've talked about the yarn merchant in my previous episode. Actually, my Spin Me a Yarn. Lori and Scott of the Yarn Merchant are wonderful humans. I don't do business with terrible people, so pretty much everybody that I mention here I think is actually a nice person as well. Lori and Scott own the Yarn Merchant, which is a yarn shop that is located in Didsbury, Alberta, which is in central Alberta. Pretty sure it's considered central Alberta. It's a little bit north of me, where I'm from. I went out one night and had out for knit night on Thursday nights out at the store, and I fell in love with this color of yarn. So this is Estelle, I believe, and of course I don't have the ball bands. I believe it's Estelle. Don't quote me. If I can find out what it is, I will put it on my in the description box. Then we have this second color, which is a very sort of, I would say kind of like a pumpkin-y orange. Again, the lighting isn't actually right there, is true to color right here. And then this wonderful speckle as well. Again, not sure how well that's going to come across in the light, but right there is probably as accurate as I will get. I had to make a shawl with all 3 of these things, and I said to Lori, you know, I need to make that. Do you need a sample or anything for the shop? She said, go ahead and make the sample, take the yarn, make the sample, and after we're done with it, you can have it and it'll be great. So that's what I did. I will find out from Ravelry, because of course I didn't write any notes down about what the name of that shawl is, or the yarn that I'm using. So I'll find it in Ravelry, and I'll link to, I don't even think I have a project page made for that, so I'll link to whatever I can below in the description box below. So that is the sample shawl for the Yarn Merchant in Didsbury, with yarn from the Yarn Merchant in Didsbury, in my homemade bag, which I'm still very, very proud of. I will also say, if you ever do, I always thought it was strange that people were keen on these canvas bags, because canvas is so stiff, but it gets almost like supple as you use it. So the more I use this bag, the more I love it. So if you are sort of on the fence about whether you'd like to make one, I say just go for it. Also, I am not a sewist. The seams on this are terrible. I won't show you any of it because, you know, from, what is it they say? On horseback or whatever, it looks fine. So if I hold it back here, you can't tell all the mistakes that I've made. Anyway, I absolutely love it, and I use it pretty much consistently. There's usually a project in here at all times. And I might as well just skip right over Yes By. Yes By is the segment where we talk about what I've completed. We've already talked about the Bon Aries tee in Polka Dot Creek Classic DK Sand. And we've already talked about Grandma's favorite dishcloth and several of the colors that I've used for that. The one thing that I didn't mention, and I don't have with me because I made postcards and I actually sent them away, is watercolor. Andrea Nelson on Instagram is absolutely lovely. I don't know her personally, but if you follow her, you know exactly what I mean. She does simple, quick, basic tutorials for people that are sort of just learning watercolor and to sort of test your abilities, test where you're at, things that most people would be able to accomplish and be relatively happy with. Actually, if you can see that owl right there in that photo frame, that is a painting that I did following a tutorial that Andrea Nelson had on her Instagram a few years ago. It's the single line drawing where you put your pen on paper and you draw whatever it is that you're drawing without lifting your pencil or pen. And then I traced it over with Sharpie and then you watercolor it. So I love her tutorials. I really enjoy watching them. I find them just nice to watch. But this summer, my kids and I decided that we were going to do a couple of things kind of out of the ordinary, things that we haven't done before, things we haven't tried. And watercolor was one of those things. I have tried watercolor before. I find it extremely difficult. So I thought I would start with some of the tutorials that Andrea provides, and I made a couple of postcards. I sent those postcards to two of my best friends, and they both sent me messages to say thank you and that it was a wonderful photo or a wonderful picture that I had painted. If I can find photos, I'm pretty sure I can, I'll post them here. One of them was, I think, kind of a sunflower looking flower, and the other, I don't know the name of it, but it was blue, and it was the most simple, the easiest thing I think I've ever done. The hardest part was getting the stems to kind of match up, and as you can see in the photo, if it's still here, they didn't. But yeah, I'll work on that. I really enjoyed doing those watercolors this year, and I particularly enjoyed spending time with my children doing something that they've never done before and learning something new with them that, quite honestly, I have tried, but I've never obviously done it successfully before. So really happy with how those turned out. And I'm going to continue to try some things. I'm just going to keep, throwing my hat in the ring and seeing if I can get anything, if I can get anything from it, if I can learn a little bit and if it can stick. I'm really enjoying, I enjoy all kinds of crafts. If you could see the room that is around me that you can't see because I've got the camera right here, you would see a plethora of items. There's notebooks, there's sketchbooks for drawing, there's yarn everywhere. There is stuffing to make like stuffy animals type things. There is a wood, I forget what you'd call it, like a wood chip, anyway, it's a circle, and it's a Christmas ornament that's right behind the camera. There's a sock, a knitted sock hanging over here. There is paint by numbers. There's jewelry making. I mean, I've got it. There's puzzles. There's a pile of puzzles right here. I pretty much have it all, tried it all, and enjoy most of it. So I'll continue to update you on other things that I try and if I like them or not. So far I haven't found anything that I don't like. I don't think. Oh, there's macrame. I've got macrame here, sewing. Yeah, I've got it all. And again, nothing that I don't like. So I'm willing to try anything. So that is Yes By. The next segment is called Twacking. Twacking. Oh, I didn't tell you what Yes By meant. Oh my gosh. Again, I don't know why you're here. Please, thank you for staying. But what a hot mess. Yes By in Newfoundland is another phrase that is kind of a catch-all term. It means like, no way, you did that? So that's where that comes from when I use my finished objects. When you go out, if you're a knitter or a maker of any sort, when you go out to the general population and they see, say, the sweater that you're wearing and they say, where did you get that sweater? That's absolutely beautiful. And you say, I made that. No way, you did not. There's no way you could, And so in Newfoundland, the term is Yes By. So that's where that term comes from. Twacking in Newfoundland means to window shop. So I will tell you, I have done so much window shopping this summer. I have done clothing window shopping. I've been window shopping for plants. I've been actually out online as well as out in shops looking for certain things. I've gone to places I wouldn't normally go. I've had a really, really fun summer of just twacking around and, filling my days, spending time with my kids, taking them somewhere. My little boy wanted to go to pick up some school clothes. My daughter came with us. We picked out an outfit for school. Yeah, so we've had some really, really nice days just kind of twacking around. And I found so many things, but the couple of things that I wanted to share with you today were I don't know if it's in the same series, because the Saltwater Classic series by Shirley Scott, I think it's Saltwater. Sorry, it's not Saltwater Classics. I guess it's the Saltwater series. Anyway, you can see it right there. You see there's like 4 books right there. They started with saltwater mittens. Yeah, saltwater mittens. Then it was saltwater socks, I believe. Then saltwater gifts and saltwater classics. This is a book by Shirley Scott and Christine Legros. They are knitters from Newfoundland, my home province. So number one, had to have these books because I want to preserve the Newfoundland culture that exists particularly around knitting, because that's where I grew up and that's the kind of knitting that I'm familiar with. And it's the sort of stuff that reminds me of home. So like, I'll show you a photo, for example, of the trigger mitts that let me see if I can get a bigger photo. Here we go. Trigger mitts are like what I know from growing up. They are mittens that my dad wore when he went hunting, so that, because hunting in Newfoundland, in my world anyway, Dad always hunted for moose in the fall, so he always wore mittens because your hands are freezing, but you still need to be able to shoot your moose, so a trigger mitt would be ideal for that. Anyway, so I have the collected works so far of these 4, but a new one came out, and this one is only Shirley, I think, and this is called Big Splash Knits. Just put that here. So same idea. There's mittens, hats, socks, and more from Atlantic Canada. So the publisher is Boulder Books. I picked this up at the Yarn Merchant in Didsbury. You want to support your local yarn shops because they keep us going. Anyway, I haven't really had a chance to sit down and look through it. Again, I think I've said this earlier, I'm really being particular about the things that I am knitting right now because of the arthritic symptoms that I'm having in my hands. So I need things that are relatively simple, and I'll be honest with you, the things that are in these books, even if they are considered the simple of the things, are not for a beginner knitter, I wouldn't say. I'll see if I can find, here's another photo that you can see. So it will be somewhat challenging for me to be able to do 2-color knitting, especially if it's like one stitch, because I have a hard time at the moment holding a bunch of stuff in my hands. But I will say, as always, I love these books. I love that they don't just come with patterns. They come with patterns as well as descriptions. They have charts. They have written. Yeah, I absolutely love them. I think that Christine and Shirley did a wonderful thing when they started capturing and documenting the Newfoundland knitting patterns that they've been able to find. They've done a lot of work, and then they've also explained there's like a story that goes along with it, and they also rate, or what's the word? They scale the patterns on difficulty. So they'll call one, for example, is degree of difficulty is choppy. Choppy means it's a little tough. Yeah, I just think that I love that the history is being preserved. But more importantly, that the stories that come with these mittens and socks and other things that come from Newfoundland or the East Coast, they are preserved in the stories in these books as well. So absolutely love that I purchased this. And if you need to buy a copy of it, check your local yarn shop. And if they don't have it, see if they can get it in. here we go. I have the next, oh, the Bon Aries tee is right here. Let's see who is the designer. Hold please, why I'm not, here we go. Come on. The King and I, E-Y-E. King and E-Y-E-I. Sorry about that, ran out of space, and I have been too lazy to clear out my memory card, so I just got rid of some stuff. So earlier in the podcast I said that I wanted to make another Bon Aries tee by the King and I, and I plan to do so. I already picked out the yarn. I feel like I will wear this all the time, like summer, winter, fall, doesn't matter. Because again, you can layer it, right? I've got a tank top underneath it today, but in the winter I can throw a long sleeve shirt, and quite honestly it's wool, so maybe on a day that is still cool or cold, I might still be able to get away with it. But my next intention is to use Estelle Silk Harmony by Estelle in the colorway Mustard. So this is what this looks like. Again, I'll come up for a close shot, but then I'll see if I can find, I'm going to guess the best lighting for it is here. Obviously it's a mustard color. Again, Estelle Yarns Silk Harmony. It is considered, I believe it's actually considered a worsted. But this pattern, if you know enough about knitting, this pattern is fairly adjustable, so I don't have any trouble if I've picked up a worsted, then I can try the pattern in and just make sure I practice and make sure I've got it proper size for myself. The next purchase that I made was the F Cancer. So it's I'll write it here. The F Cancer bag, again by Sew Shannon. I will share a little bit. Shannon's son has been recently had a recurrence of his type of cancer, and so Shannon had collaborated with, oh my gosh, Sassy Strings, I believe. I'll correct myself and I'll put it here, and then I'll also link them properly below. Now I can't remember who it was. Oh my goodness. Sorry. So Shannon and this local hand dyer made a package with a bag and a two colorways called F Cancer and F Cancer 2. So I had to have the bag. It's a Sew Shannon bag for one, and two, it's F Cancer, which is my kind of motto, I suppose, right now. On the outside, Shannon has put panels of each, not every, because there's very, very many, but it represents most of the most common cancers. For example, my cervical cancer is teal and white, so half of the ribbon is teal, the other half is white, so I obviously use teal as that would be the one to represent my type of cancer. And I believe thyroid cancer is purple. So again, if you're new here, you won't know this, but I was diagnosed with cervical cancer and then subsequently thyroid cancer, and then cervical cancer had a recurrence. I am now considered no evidence of disease, which is extremely exciting for me. But yeah, I absolutely had to have this bag. I will show you the inside of it just briefly, if I can get it in there. So you can see that it has that F Cancer on the inside, as well as Sew Shannon's tag on the side, which has F Cancer on the other side. So again, had to have this. Really, really love it. I love the way that this is a type of bag that I don't generally go for. I think this is typically the doctor style bag where it's got the hard handle, and then when you open it, it clips open, and then you can totally open it so it does stay exactly the way you want, because there is a hard handle all the way around. I haven't used this yet as a project bag. I've just put the mustard color in there, and I intend to use it. I don't know if it will be a home bag or if it will come with me on the road, because generally when I go places and I knit, I don't have an extra hand to hold things. I have a lot of things strung over my shoulders. But we will see. I'll keep you posted on that. Absolutely love it. It was a limited time thing, so there aren't any left. I don't know if there's any yarn left. If there is, I'll link it below. All right. The next segment is called Now to Once. Now to Once is a segment where we talk about what I want to do in the future as far as knitting or craft projects go. I have 2 things that I cannot mention because they're gifts for people. But what I will say is anything that I'm going to be doing in the upcoming days, weeks, and months is going to be very simple. So I'll probably have a dishcloth on the go. I might work away on the shawl because the shawl is light and easy and the pattern's easy to memorize. What I won't likely be doing are things like big sweaters, big garments, things like that. Or a lot of really intricate work like the trigger finger mittens. But I do have 2 projects that I need to start very quickly and get completed very quickly. So I'm planning to do those, and if I have them done in the appropriate amount of time, I'll post them here once they've been gifted. So that's that. And again, pretty much anything that is easy. And I've been sort of dipping my toe into a different thing. So I will do maybe some watercolor while it's still nice out. I am going to try some photography with our family before all of the leaves fall. For those of you that are not in a zone 3, we're in zone 3B. The leaves are already turning yellow and starting to fall, and it happens here very quickly. So when the leaves start to fall, it takes about a week to 2 weeks max for them to fall all the way off. I'll keep you posted on that. So we're just starting to turn yellow now, and like I said, I'll let you know once they're all gone and fall is finally like taking its hold. Jigs and reels. Jigs and reels in Newfoundland are stories, songs, things that, jigs and reels technically are songs and dances. Newfoundland is quite well known for storytelling, and so in this segment I talk about songs or music artists that I've been listening to, television shows I'll be watching, books, audiobooks, things that I've been reading. I will not do a full recap of my summer of reading. Again, earlier I mentioned that I was having a hard time with knitting, so I wasn't doing a ton of knitting, which meant I was doing way more reading. I also my son and I actually joined a challenge from the Carstairs Public Library, where it's sort of our closest library. We joined there, and they use an app to track the reading that you're doing, and then you can get streaks. We had a really great time this summer practicing reading together. Him reading on his own, me reading on my own, both of us reading with my daughter who doesn't quite read on her own yet. We had an absolutely wonderful time, but that meant that I chewed through probably dozens of books. I think I'm at 50 books for the year or somewhere close to there. It's not like there are some readers out there that are 50 books in the first month of January. I'm not there, but I do have a large list of books. Maybe what I'll do, if you're really interested, is I will list them below, or I'll link my Goodreads below, and then if you want, you can follow me or friend me or whatever to see what it is that I'm reading. That way I don't have to take up a ton of time here talking about books if somebody's not really interested in it. I will say I read a bunch of books that I loved. Some books I read that I kind of tolerated. There was nothing that I really hated, but I DNF'd at least one. Maybe a couple. I don't remember, but I have this thing now that I'm not going to waste my time reading a book that I don't like. If I if it's a 3+ book for me, like a 3 stars or more, I will stick with it to see if the ending makes it a 4 or 5 star for me. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. If I liked the book from the beginning, I liked it at the end pretty much. And if I didn't quite like it enough, but it was, a nice enough book to read, I'll continue. And then none of those ever really shocked me. But yeah, I'll link my Goodreads below, or I might even list the books that I read this since the last podcast in the description box below, and you can check them out yourself. Also, speaking of checking them out yourself, I will say, try your local library if you don't currently use yours. I absolutely love our library. I am lucky because I live on an acreage. I'm kind of surrounded by small towns that have lovely little libraries. So if you are in that same boat, or even if you're lucky enough to live like in the city where there's a massive public library system, utilize it. It is usually free. It's wonderful. The staff in our libraries, they're absolutely lovely humans. So, and there's always somebody who can lend an ear or give you some suggestions of books that you might like, and you might surprise yourself with the things that you do read. I found this summer that I was reading a lot of the, I guess you'd call them book talk books or YouTube or BookTube book recommendations, and I wasn't really enjoying a lot of those. So talk to your librarian, see if they have any recommendations, if they know the things that you like, and then they can point you in the right direction. I will say I'm not listening to a ton of music because I'm listening to a lot of audiobooks, so the time that I spend listening to things, I actually end up listening to audiobooks instead. Most of the time it's been anything that's kind of related to John Prine. So I love John Prine. If you are new here, you would not know that. But when I pull up my YouTube algorithm, it will give me other artists like Nathaniel Rateliff, who else? Chris Stapleton. A lot of artists that sort of go in that same realm. Love those. And I just kind of put on a playlist and let it play. But a lot of the time it starts with a John Prine song and it continues until I'm finished whatever it is I'm doing. The one thing that I have started, and I've actually convinced my husband to try, which has taken me 13 years to get him there, I'm rewatching Downton Abbey. For those of you that are fans, you might know that there is a new movie coming out. I haven't watched it since it came out the last time, so I think the last season of Downton Abbey was filmed in 2015, or was released in 2015. So that's at least 10 years. It's been 10 years since I've watched the final season, so I'm going to do a bit of a rewatch. We're rewatching the last season right now because my husband doesn't want to commit to all 6 or 7 seasons that there are, so we're just watching this one, and then I'll go back and rewatch the others to see where I'm at. Hopefully I can get that done before the new movie comes out. I know I'm getting tight, getting close. The next topic or next segment is called Best Kind. Best Kind in Newfoundland means, again, a whole swath of things. So it could mean you are the best kind, like you're great, or that recipe is the best kind, it tastes delicious. The, I don't know, like the weather here, the weather here is the best kind. So it, again, a bit of a catch-all phrase, it just means good or great. So the things that I put in the best kind column are things that I'm grateful for, things that I've been doing that really fill up my cup. So the things that I've noted in this week's episode are the beautiful summer that we had. We didn't have a great summer weather-wise, but I had a wonderful summer with my family. We did a few trips. We did a few day trips. My husband took them to Drumheller, which is a wonderful dinosaur place. It's a town a few hours from us, but it's absolutely wonderful, and they went there and had a blast. We both took them out swimming in little ponds and creeks and things that we would find places. We took them for walks. We started walking every night. It's been absolutely a wonderful, beautiful summer. Again, not so much weather-wise, but it has been quite lovely. The kids are back to school. They are absolutely loving it. We're still trying to get into the swing of things with a nice nighttime routine again. We sort of got off track in the summer, which unfortunately that happens, but we're kind of getting back into the routine again now, and they're really grateful to be back with their friends and their teachers, and learning things and having a bit more structure to their day. I recently started gratitude journaling. I have done in the past, but I recently found a journal that had some prompts, so I have started gratitude journaling a couple of times a week, 2 to 3 times a week maybe, that I'll do that. My husband and I do it together once a week, so that's been wonderful. And yeah, generally just being back here in front of the camera with you, with the community that we've developed here, and getting back into talking about the things that I really enjoy and the things that I love. So that's one thing that I'm also very grateful for. With that, we've said all that we need to say today, and I will end with another Newfoundland phrase. Again, if you want to go back and watch previous episodes, you'll see me trip over the outro every single time I try to say it. So I'm just going to make it short, and I will leave you with stay where you're to till I comes where you're at, which means you stay there until I return. We'll see you on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.